Hey everyone, welcome back. The 2024 election, right? It's unavoidable everywhere you look. But we're going deeper today. We're taking a deep dive into legal challenges facing former President Trump. And get this, these legal battles, they could directly impact the election. Ready to uncover the facts and see why it matters? Let's go.
Impact is a good word, because we're not talking about what ifs. These are accusations of election interference from
2020 and the consequences. Huge. Bigger than just the courtroom?
You're right, this isn't some political drama. We're talking real-world stuff here. Just recently, a federal judge unsealed a bunch of new evidence in one of the cases against Trump about his alleged attempts, to overturn the 2020 election, potential abuse of power. 4 specific charges, actually. One is conspiracy to defraud the U.S. Trump's pleaded not guilty. But that brings up a big question. Can you even prosecute a former president for things they did in office?
That question, it gets at the heart of presidential power. Presidential immunity is something people misunderstand. It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card. The law says there's a difference between official actions as president, those usually have immunity, and then there's unofficial, those don't. Imagine this, the president orders a military strike based on advice. That's probably official, but using the office to pressure people for personal gain, that's unofficial territory. And that's what Jack Smith is saying. He's the special counsel. He's arguing Trump's actions, they were about keeping power, not doing his job as president.
So no escaping accountability, even if a president says, I was acting for the nation.
That's the idea. The law's supposed to see through that.
This unofficial actions thing is fascinating. What are the specifics of this case? What are they actually saying Trump did?
The main accusation is that Trump and others, they were in on this pressure campaign to overturn the 2020 election. Pressure was on several people, institutions, but this case, it's about the pressure on Mike Pence. He was vice president then.
Makes sense. And that's where the grand jury stuff comes in, the testimonies that were just unsealed.
Exactly. They make the accusations stronger. We're talking first-hand accounts of people trying to pressure Pence. It paints a picture, what was going on behind closed doors.
And in those testimonies, there's this moment, right? An aide tells Trump that Pence, he was taken to a secure location. And Trump says, so what? Short statement, but wow.
It's telling. Pence's role, certifying the election, it was mostly ceremonial. But it's a crucial part of the peaceful transfer of power. Him refusing to do what Trump wanted, really significant. Legally, historically.
And Smith is saying, by pressuring Pence like that, Trump wasn't acting as president. He was acting like a private citizen, trying to game the system for himself.
That's the argument.
This whole thing with Pence takes on a whole new meaning. When you think about the VP debate, right? Trump's running mate this time, J.D. Vance, he wouldn't even admit Trump lost in 2020. What's that say? After what happened with Pence, did Pence accidentally, set a precedent for how a VP should act if this happens again?
It's a scary thought. Pence standing up to the pressure back then could be a roadmap, for future VPs if they're in the same situation. And Vance not even admitting the 2020 results. Yeah, that raises some red flags. Does it mean he'd be willing to mess with the process if, say, Trump disputes the results in 2024?
It's a big question, hanging over everything, especially this close to the election.
Yeah.
And the Harris campaign's using it, right? They're saying Trump and his party can't be trusted to uphold democracy.
Exactly. This isn't just about one election. It's about could happen to the whole system if people lose faith.
Okay, so we've got these wild accusations, a possible constitutional crisis. But can we pause for a sec? What are the actual next steps in the case itself? Legally, I mean.
Think of it like a chess match. Trump's lawyers, they'll file their responses. They'll probably say his actions were A-OK because he was president, or that there's not enough proof.
Back and forth it goes. Then what?
The judge, Tanya Chutkan, she'll make decisions before the trial, like what evidence is allowed, who can be a witness, maybe even if there'll be a trial.
Which leads to the big question. When would a trial happen? Could it be before the election?
Doubt it. This case is a mess, legally speaking. Both sides have big arguments. A trial before the election, almost impossible.
So this could go on and on. What if Trump wins? Then what happens to the case?
$1 million question, right? If he wins, prosecuting him gets really, really tricky. No sitting president's ever been indicted. He might try to pardon himself, or his Justice Department could just drop it. We're in uncharted territory here, legally and politically.
It's like a movie, but it's real life. What if he loses? Does he become a regular citizen facing trial?
Most likely scenario. If he loses, the case could go on like any other. Same legal risks as anyone else. But we know Trump, right? His lawyers will probably appeal everything. Could take years.
Years, man. this could go on forever. And those are just some of his legal problems.
Exactly. In this case, it could end up at the Supreme Court. It's too big to ignore, constitutionally, politically.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. But we got to remember the bigger picture. This isn't just about one guy or one election. This is about democracy itself. The idea that we have a peaceful transfer of power. It's huge, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. What kind of message does it send? If there's no consequences for trying to overturn an election, future presidents, even other countries are watching, these questions, they're going to stick with us long after this election's over.
It really makes you wonder, all this stuff, the allegations, the court battles, could it happen again? Will people even trust this election? It feels like, I don't know, a crisis of faith almost.
That's a real worry. And we can't ignore it. Democracy only works if people believe in it, if they participate.
Makes you think. This deep dive, it shows us something. The future of our democracy, it's not a sure thing. It's up to us, our choices, paying attention, holding leaders accountable.
Well said. And understanding these things, these legal battles, presidential power, election integrity, that's on all of us as citizens.
Because we're not just watching this happen, right? We're part of it. It's on us to stay informed, think for ourselves, make our voices heard. So until next time, keep asking those tough questions and keep diving deep.